decided to go ahead and do another video. I don't know if it's worth it or not. I'm not getting very many views on this new channel. Of course, I haven't done anything to promote it, and I'm kind of almost afraid to try to promote it. I had hundreds of thousands of views on my other channels, but they were shut down, making too much noise, talking about things that certain people don't want talked about. I was just going to do a little bit more about, say a little bit more about 9/11. As my old videos, I was basically preaching to people that were familiar with these things. And if I'm going to attract people who don't know anything about these conspiracies, I got to tone it down a bit. Otherwise, they're just going to think I'm some kind of a nutcase or something, a lunatic. The biggest problem with trying to convince people about conspiracies is most people don't want to believe in these kind of things. You know, there's two reasons there's evil in the world. First of all, there's some very sadistic and cruel people who like to hurt people. The other reason is there's millions of people who just plain don't give a flying flip. As long as it's happening to somebody else and not them, they don't care. And a lot of people are in denial of it. A lot of people don't want to believe this. Especially Americans are some of the most in denial people. You know, it's like our politicians would never do anything unless it's the other party. You know, if you're Republican, yeah, those Democrats are always doing scumbag things. Or if you're a Democrat, those Republicans are always doing scumbag things, but not my party, you know. The reality is the world is controlled by a secret, satanic mafia type thing, and there's tons of evidence of this, but most people don't want to look into this. They're just, you know, all they're concerned about is who's going to win, you know, the game next weekend. You know, I mean, that's their main concern. You know, and making sure that they got food on their table and money in their bank account. And other than that, they really don't care. You know, but you should care because sooner or later it's going to come and affect you. And I put up a video a while ago. It's like getting really frustrated. I had this thing I called the Sandstone Syndrome. Sandstone, Minnesota, you know, back in the Hinckley fire, there was a train that pulled into town, going backwards. It was singed. There were burnt people on board, and they were screaming, "Get on the train, or you're all going to die." And the people of Sandstone just stood there, I don't know, just in denial. And finally, they sat there for 15 minutes. The bridge on the other side of town was starting to catch fire, and they thought, we can't wait any longer. So they took off, and I think it was about 150 people in Sandstone were burned alive. You know, and it's denial, and that's the biggest problem. And there's also a lot of disinformation too. That's a problem. But you know, you can show things like I showed people in the last couple of videos, like the liquid steel pouring out of the building. Okay, it's not a liquid aluminum. There's no way a conventional fire can melt steel. There were thousands of, well, at least hundreds of witnesses that heard explosions. There were dozens of people that were injured in these explosions, and yet the official story is there were no explosions, and it was just these 19 hijackers just ran a plane into the building, and that's what caused it to fall down. Even though there's never been a steel skyscraper that's fallen down due to fire, earthquake, hurricane, or tornado. I mean, it's completely collapsed in history. Yet in one day there's 3 of them, and Building 7 wasn't even hit by a plane. It was barely burning, and it fell down. Okay, you had records from the Enron scandal. I suppose that's the most important thing I should say is why. Why did they do this? Well, first of all, they want everybody to be afraid. They feed off of fear. Second of all, you know, there were several other things. They shorted American Airlines stocks, and so there were a bunch of people that made a lot of money. A lot of people lost money, but the insiders made money on it. The Enron scandal, which was, I think, was a $4 billion scandal. All the records of it went up in smoke, so case dismissed. There's no longer any records. Can't continue to pursue the case. It just happened to be stored in Building 7, you know. It was used to create a war. I mean, these people, the international bankers, they make their money by orchestrating wars, and then nations have to come and borrow money to finance their wars. And this is what finances this whole global international crime ring. Some people call it the Illuminati. Well, it's got many parts. The Illuminati is like the top part of it. And I documented a lot of these things in a lot of videos. I'm not documenting a lot right now because I documented it all before and my channels were shut down. Thousands of hours of work, research, and producing videos is all destroyed. So I just don't feel like doing it. There's tons of evidence out there if you want to bother to look. Most people don't want to bother to look. You know, and then you start getting into it's a satanic conspiracy. A lot of people don't want to believe that. They used to tell you there was no such thing as Satanism. Now it's kind of hard to pull that anymore. So they say, okay, there's Satanism, but it's a good religion. It's just another belief system. You know, Satanists don't do anything wrong. Bull crap. I'll just give you a couple of examples. Susan Atkins. She was a disciple of Anton LaVey, and she was a murderer. She was one of the primary Tate murderers, okay? And Sharon Tate, murdered Sharon Tate, a pregnant woman, supposedly tasted her blood. And Bobby Boussalet, another member of the Manson family, was the same thing. And I just watched or just read Aleister Crowley's Book of the Law. These Satanists, they had this weird belief system. They talk about love, but then they talk about torturing people. Like Crowley's Book of the Law, if you read it, it's not long. You can look it up. I looked it up. It was online. Look up Aleister Crowley's Book of the Law. It's only about 5 pages or less. You know, it starts out, it sounds okay. You know, they're talking about love and. Yeah, but it's love under the law. You know, and that sounds all great and wonderful, but then they're talking about torturing people and trampling the weak and the poor. You know, and anyone who shows compassion also needs to be tortured and killed. You know, and how does love fit into that? What kind of definition of love do they follow? I mean, it's complete insanity. There's no way you can torture and murder innocent people and there be any love in your heart. Only a psychopath could do something like that, and psychopaths don't love anybody or anything, including themselves. All they care about is that their immediate needs are being met by somebody, and their immediate wants and desires are being met, and that's all they care about. Anyway, I could go on and on about this. You know, the Illuminati, you know, there's different levels of disinformation. Okay, the first level of disinformation, it doesn't exist. That's what they tell the sheeple, the masses. And most of the sheep will buy it because they don't research anything. They don't want to. They just believe whatever is told to them, and you know they don't want to bother doing their own research. The only way you can find the truth about anything is to do your own research, and I try to encourage people to do that. And I have a bunch of followers who were doing some of their own research. I had some that started putting up their own video channels and researching this, so I think I did some good, even though my main channels were shut down. But I got tired of it because I was also getting attacks. And this is even a lot of my long-time subs didn't believe this, even though I documented it, you know, the house being buzzed with helicopters and other weird things. And even then, people thought, yeah, I'm crazy, you know. I'm crazy. You just do your own research and find out whether or not I'm telling you the truth. Okay. You know, there's different levels of disinformation. Getting back to the Illuminati, the first level is doesn't exist. For the people that don't buy that one, okay, they say, okay, it did exist. It was created by this Adam Weishaupt, whatever his name, in 1785, and he was just in Bavaria, and when he died, the Illuminati, that was the end of the Illuminati. Okay, for those who don't buy that, okay, alright, it does exist. It's worldwide. It was actually started by, most people don't know this, was actually started by Rothschild. He changed his name from Bauer to Rothschild, and it's an international organization. It didn't just exist in Bavaria. The next level is, okay, the Illuminati does exist. It still exists, but it's a benevolent organization. There you go again. And finally, those who know the full truth realize it's anything but benevolent. Okay, it's run by these lunatic Satanists who have this bizarre idea of love. I think they get lust and love confused, because there's a difference between lust and love. Psychopaths lust, okay? Psychopaths like to have their sexual desires fulfilled, okay? But as far as love and compassion, that has no meaning to them. It's completely over their head. They don't understand love and compassion, you know, and they consider love and compassion to be weakness. And they do this, like Alex Jones did a video, the cremation of care in Bohemian Grove, a ritual, and Walter Cronkite was, I think he was the owl, if I recall. He was part of a video thing, and Care was like the bad guy. Care was evil, and then they had the Care talking like this, you know. And Care, what's Care? Care is compassion, all right. And they cremated Care. They burned it alive. And the Satanists do get involved with rituals where they torture people to death, and this goes on all over the world. Okay, and anytime somebody tries to expose it, it's debunked. It's said it's just a witch hunt. It's lunacy. It's not really happening. A lot of the serial murderers, you never hear anything about. A lot of these serial murderers, a lot of these school shooters, these are Satanists, and you never hear anything about it in the mainstream media. Because the mainstream media is all controlled by the thing. It's controlled through Freemasonry, and Freemasonry's got many levels, and there's other secret societies besides Freemasonry. And there's like the outer circle of Freemasons who don't know about the inner circles, and the outer circles believe that they're part of a benevolent organization that raises money for charities and all this kind of cute stuff, all these nice stuff, you know. But there's inner circles, and they watch to see who they want to get into the inner circle. And the inner circles are evil. They're diabolical. And this is real, you know. And then if I start getting into the alien thing, that's when I really start to lose people. Because people, they don't want to believe that. They don't want to believe that there's aliens. Because it's scary. You know, it's the same thing as the denial mode. And believing that, because when you start believing that 9/11 was an inside job, you have to realize that our authorities in our media lied to us. Because at least some of them, not all of them have to know. But the key ones, you know, that's the thing. It's not the entire media. It's not the entire law enforcement. It's not all FBI, CIA agents. It's just certain key ones that are on top in key positions, and they make sure that these top people are on their payroll. And you know, the bottom ones, if they want a job, they got to do what they're told. So if their boss tells them stop investigating this, don't report this, you know, they got to do what they're told, or they'll be looking for a new job. So most people are going to do what they're told, and that's the way it functions. And another reason it functions is because they commit such horrific things, and then you get the mind control stuff. This is another part that's really going to blow people away. Is a lot of these people are mind control slaves. They don't even realize. What they do is they rape and torture children when they're young, and most of these people coming from families where they do this is normal practice. And a lot of our celebrities, a lot of our politicians, a lot of people in top positions are raised this way. And what happens is when you torture a child at a young age, their personality splits. They call it dissociative disorder, but it used to be called multiple personality disorder, which I think is it's more easy to understand. You create different personalities, and then they program each personality. So a person will, you know, is basically a prostitute part of the time. They're geared for the entertainment industry. They'll be an agent, and so they have different and they'll have a cover personality, and that usually is dumb. And the cover person has no idea that they got these other lives going on. And this sounds far-fetched to people, but it's real. And I guess I'm going to have to sign off, or I'm running out of time. And I just giving a synopsis. Hopefully some people will accept and start doing their own research.